Test. Whoa. I got me. Are you there?
See, it'd be really strange for you to be coming through to me but not being recorded.
Okay, so you can hear me now.
Yeah.
It's all good. We got it now. I can't wait. I'm putting all of this into the show.
We're off to a running start. Oh, it'd be a mistake if you didn't do it. If you did, yeah, you gotta.
There was some little thing called PAD. I don't know what it means. Do you know what it means? On my
it means mnemonic after device, and it's actually it has to do with the inner ear and the way that sound waves are received.
Well, for some reason, when I clicked that, everything became good.
Okay, well, I made that up. I have no idea what PAD means.
That's pretty good that you made that up, because you even made it into one of those silent P letters.
Yeah.
Which made it totally convincible.
First one that came to my mind.
Like if you want to lie to somebody, put a silent letter in front of something, and they'll be like, "This guy really knows what he's talking about." True story.
Or pronounce what's supposed to be silent. Like, I swear I did not know that knife was there.
Yes, but that's in Britain. They kind of do that.
I do that.
And when I was a ski patrol, when I took my ski patrol exam, I didn't know anything. Like if I came upon you and you had something wrong with you, you were probably going to die. And they, when I took my test, it was a practical exam. Like they would give us patients, and they would tell us what's wrong with them. And after I electrocuted myself with my first patient, because they had a live wire on them, and I tried to remove them from the live wire, and the person doing the examination goes, "Lay on the ground, you're dead." And I was like, okay. He goes, "You're out of the exam. You're dead now. You just moved a live wire." And I was like,
oh, man.
Well, then I went on to say the words acromioclavicular joint like 50 times. Because you went to all these different it was like stations, and each one had a test. And I would just throw that term out. And I think they were so impressed that I knew the acromioclavicular joint that they were like, I mean, this guy must have studied. They'd be like, "He's not breathing. He doesn't have a pulse." And I'd be like, "Well, first I want to check his acromioclavicular joint. Make sure."
Dude, that's genius.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that ever being useful in any kind of ski patrol. Where were you ski patrol?
I started in a little place in Pennsylvania called Seven Springs. And when I was in high school, I was a ski instructor there. And then
wow.
I got fired from ski instructing, so I went to ski patrol, and then I got fired from ski patrol. I've told this story probably on this podcast. I've told it on the other podcast. At a bachelor party, we had a bachelor party at the ski hut, and we had a blow-up doll, and I put it in the toboggan during the day the next day, covered it, and then called like a code brown or whatever, which is like everybody comes out of the patrol hut at the bottom, we ski it down, and they come out to help us take the patient inside. And so my boss and everyone came out, and everybody was laughing when they took the blanket off, and it was this blow-up doll. And he tried to fist fight me in front of everyone. And
yeah, I can imagine that would be a little bit of a no.
He thought it was very unprofessional. But
what a loser.
I know. So then I got fired. So then I got kicked out of college, and I went to Vail. And so I worked out in Vail for a while, and that was fun. Yeah.
Dude, that is a long list of achievements. What did you get kicked out of university for?
I started the Panther Skydiving Club.
Uh-huh.
And took all my friends skydiving on university funds. I think they called it, what was it? What was the word they used? It was, I forget the word they used. Not extortion. It was like, I forget, embezzlement. That was.
Wow, man, that's a rap sheet early on. Well, we got that in common. Well, a couple things. I did my fair bit of ski bumming after college. I went through college first, didn't get kicked out, but I was the president of our ski and snowboard club.
Oh, really?
Where'd
you go to school?
Southern Cal, USC. And it was an official league. It was a pretty dope league. And so we got school funding. And then in addition to that, we had 90 or so kids sign up and all pay, I don't know, a couple $100. And so for my junior and senior year in college, we had enough funds through the university and memberships to have a place in Mammoth for like the entire year.
Wow.
It was good times.
Like a condo.
Yeah, like a condo, like legit. And we definitely treated it like college kids. Like we could have done a better job. But That was cool, man. We did race weekends and stuff like that, so it was legit, but it was
No wonder
it was pretty sweet.
No wonder people are trying to pay to get their kids into school there.
Yep, it's true, man. It's true.
That must have
They're
been
probably paying for.
That must have been a full house. Get it?
Uh,
That's a terrible joke. Anyway, I requested $30,000. That's it. That's all I requested. But I had on the on my committee, because you had to have like 10 social security numbers, like 10 people that were on your board. I had the president of the school. I had the editor of the newspaper. It was all organized crime. It was like my first.
they just didn't know it.
And I had them covering up because everybody tried to like investigate it, because you're supposed to let it open to the entire university. But I would just take my 10 best friends parachuting, and we would just and here was the best. We went to this place. It was called Beaver Valley Skydiving outside of Pittsburgh, and like the planes would always catch on fire, and they had a bar there, and I just cut them a check and said, "Here, take all the money. We'll just come here whenever we want and parachute, and then you just take it off our bill, because that way I didn't have to deal." And
Just a running tab.
yeah,
I love
think
it.
the problem was though that we had a bar tab then, and we would go parachute and then we would drink, and I don't think any of us were 21, and it was a real problem.
Okay, so the underage drinking I get, but I still don't understand what the.
I didn't leave it open to all the members of the university. I didn't have one meeting or one advertisement.
Got it.
I didn't buy one ad in the school newspaper or
Got it. Okay.
We took pictures of flyers that we posted. We're like, look, we took pictures, and it had the date. This is how old I am. It had the date on the back of the picture of when we took the picture.
It's almost the perfect crime.
They're like, this was filmed like a week ago, and we're like, oh no, that's when we developed it. We just developed it. Yeah. So they weren't happy. Are you there? Oh no.
Wow. Yeah, I'm here. Okay. Just a little hiccup. So how many skydives do you have?
Oh, I don't have many. I was drinking all the time. I had a couple.
Just watched.
No, it was like I started it, and then one of my friends ran with it and did it a lot, and he didn't even go to my college. He was just a friend.
Love it.
He was a friend from home, and he was like,
Love it.
He was like, thanks for this free skydiving, and I didn't know. I was too dumb to know. But I'm, as a man, I was an adult, considered an adult.
Yeah.
I'm surprised I didn't go to jail. But
well,
cancel culture, they could still get me.
I was gonna say, you're showing way too many cards now. Just
yeah. Hey, I hate to tell you this, and I know it's gonna really hurt your feelings, but I was just in Cookeville.
What?
I drove.
That does hurt my feelings.
I drove through. I called Hinshaw like after the fact, and he's like, "Why didn't you stop by?" And I go, we drove cross country with my whole family, and there was like, there's no way I'm gonna like stop and bug it was one of those things like, "Hey, I'm in town," like.
Yeah, but you should have, man. So wait, when was this? Literally over the weekend?
No, this was like a month ago.
Okay. Dude, I'll tell you what, we've got lots of people coming out to visit because it's such a different world here than the rest of, and it's funny, I'm trying not to be insensitive when I say this, but it is the truth that like, even with our guidelines that are mandated and whatnot, everything here seems to be a lot more open and relaxed than other parts of the country.
Right.
And certainly the world.
No cases there?
We have a couple active cases, but the death rate is super low. And even the hospitalization rate right now is tremendously low. So we're blessed, and like, knock on wood, all the kids just went back to school. So depending on where people sit on that, like, it's a bit of an experiment, but yeah, so far so great.
I used to take a firm stance on it. Now I just go, I don't know anything.
Dude, it's impossible to have.
I really don't. And I have friends that are doctors and friends that are immunologists, and everyone I talk to tells me something different. So I just rather stay out of the argument and just do what I do.
Truth.
And what everybody else does, they want to do. But I did get in a fight with a guy 2 nights ago, and he was screaming in my car window. And I would like put the window up. I'm like, get your COVID out of here. Like, I just felt like if I'm going to get COVID, this is how it's happening.
This is not, I refuse to get it this way. Wait, so the fight was about COVID, or
No,
that
the
was
fight
just
was about Shake Shack. Have you ever had a Shake Shack burger?
I never have, to be honest with you.
It's the best burger in the world, by far.
Wow, all right.
Danny Meyer, best restaurateur in New York City, owns this burger chain, and it started in New York. It's incredible. There was like a line around the block. It was like CrossFit. The thing valued at like $1.6 billion when they took it public. It was crazy. And so I'm at Shake Shack doing the curbside pickup, and I'm about to pull in, and this Tesla whips around my truck to get in front of me, only to be told that his order's not ready and to go sit in the parking lot. So then I pull up, they hand mine right to me. I have to now go and do a 3-point turn to turn around and get out. So I just happened to 3-point turn beside him, and his window's down, and I see that he's driving a Tesla and he has a Tesla hat on. So I did what any normal person would do, and I called him a douchebag. And then he proceeded to tell me, he was like a cab driver from New York City, the way he like exploded with, "I fucked your mother." Like that's what came from him. And I was like, no, my mom's got way better taste. And he just kept screaming that. Like he went from 0 to 100 in like as fast as a Tesla. His anger was as fast as a Tesla goes. And he just starts screaming and screaming. And he's like, he's going, fuck you. And then I'm laughing at him. And he goes, "I'll kick your ass." And I go, "No, you won't." And he gets out of his car and he's tiny. And I just start laughing at him. Like I'm laughing hysterically. And I'm like, and I'm going, I don't want to fight him because I have on flip-flops and there's COVID. But other than that, I might just do it for fun. And
just throw on a mask and just beat some ass.
And he comes over to my car and kicks my door and starts kicking my door. So then I go, "That's it." And I go and I take a picture. I go to take a picture of his license plate. I'm like, I'm just calling the cops on you, dude. You know, like you're not. And he stands in front of his license plate and gives me the finger. And so then I pretend like I'm calling the cops. I'm not going to call the cops because I want to get home and eat my Shake Shack. And
plus there's a warrant out for all the shit with the parachute company.
Exactly. So he zooms around me and almost hits my car, and then almost hits like 4 people and drives out of a parking lot like he was coming out of the pits in the Indy 500. So
never received his food. You're the winner, no matter what.
I did feel that way. I felt like, and then I was going to call them to make sure I canceled his order, so he didn't drive back and get it. But here's what's better. My wife says to me, "Tesla hat, look at the way he's dressed." She goes, "He probably works at Tesla." And I'm like, so I Google Thousand Oaks, Tesla. I find a Tesla service center across the street from Precision CrossFit. I call my buddy Mike, who is the owner of Precision. And I said, "Hey, do you know the Tesla order?" "Yeah." "Do they dress like this?" He goes, "Yeah." I go, bam, got him.
Oh, that's amazing. Dude, it's been a long time since I've been like in an almost altercation even like that.
Yeah, me too. I would say about a week.
Yeah. But I guess we live in different parts of the country, and I don't get to see people in full Tesla outfits wearing a Tesla hat. Yeah. What kind of truck do you drive?
A Toyota TRD 4Runner.
You should start wearing a Toyota hat.
I know, I really should. I wear a WODcast hat.
How badass would that be? You do have your WODcast hat on in front of your WODcast background.
I'm just a WODcaster now. I'm just so excited that I've got video, and I'm trying to. I have nothing to do. I have no stand-up. My career is over, and so I'm just like, hey. I used to take this show I literally would show up 15 minutes after it would start, talk for like 20 minutes, go order some food, and leave. And now it's all I have.
Yeah, dude. Gosh, man, tell me about the stand-up stuff. Like, is there any way to kind of?
No, it's over. And you're such a broadcaster. You've turned this. You have made the interview about me instead of about you.
I find it tremendously interesting, because there's only so many ways to flex, especially like if your life depends on in-person events. Yeah. I'll turn it here. Here you go. I'll turn it back to me. We were going to run this team competition.
Oh, I know. I was watching the whole thing.
Oh, and dude, as that whole thing played out, and now that I'm watching what the games are doing, I'm like, it is a real eye opener, slap in the face about like events in general, presenters like yourself. Before I got, started working with the team here at Mayhem, it's like, I was freelancing for the first time in my life. And, it's a pretty damn tough time to try and plug what seems to be like a square peg into that round hole of if you can call COVID a round hole. It's more of like a star-shaped, weird, awkwardly shaped hole. But yeah, trying to fit different careers certainly are affected. And that probably sounds extremely flippant for a lot of people who have lost their jobs and they're going through all sorts of crazy stuff. But yours in particular are like events. I think about people who hang their entire livelihood on that. It's crazy.
Well, it is, and it's scary and it's weird, and I'm not so desperate. A lot of comics need comedy, like need stand up for like validation. I just need the cash.
Yeah.
I'm at the point in my career, I've been doing it 25 years, where there's no ego in it anymore. It's like, how much? That's my question. People are like, hey, I got this. How much? How much does it pay? Where do I have to go? Is there first class? Yeah. Am I at nice hotel? All right. It's not, I don't go, how's the gig? It used to.
Yeah.
I used to say I'd do gigs for free. I loved it so much. And I did. Yeah. In New York City, I'd do 7 shows a night and probably 4 of them would pay or 3 of them would pay. And I'd do 4 for free. And
really?
Oh God, when you're coming up and you're starting, even now, I mean, when I go to New York, I still do free gigs. There's still times where I will do free gigs just out of practice or it's something fun or the novelty. I mean, podcasts are free. I do so many podcasts, but it's exposure, it's practice. But I still don't think the Games is going to happen.
Without a doubt. Do you want to say hi? Oh.
Who's this?
Whoops. No.
No, did we lose you?
No, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, dude. Okay. My wife just tried to call. Rich Froning says hello.
What is he doing there?
Yeah. Oh, great. Oh, you were?
Yeah. Did you get that next Darren? There's one in Lake Tahoe.
No way, dude. So this dude, he's like, hey, let's do some team building. And what I've come to find is that team building for Rich means I'm going to take you and just put you through some sort of physical annihilation. We did a triathlon yesterday. Yeah.
Rich.
Yeah. It was really fun.
I guarantee it was more than a triathlon.
It was an off-road triathlon. It was my first one. And it was absolutely, actually I had a blast, man. My tendency is to say that it was not any fun, but it was actually a blast, if I'm being completely honest. It was mountain bike, obviously swim, and then off-road, a trail run. And it was really fun.
Well,
but he just came in here to tell me that he found another Xterra race. And I'm like, bro,
that's hilarious because
I'll hold the camera.
I'm training to do a thing called the Bearman, which is it's a triathlon in France. It's an Ironman.
Okay.
Ironman distance, but you climb one of the mountains that they do in the Tour de France, and you run up a mountain. It's 5,000 feet of climbing over the marathon. The ride is 15,000 feet of climbing. And people are like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, why not? If I was going to do an Ironman, I might as well put myself through the worst. And so I looked up the worst triathlons, and I found the Norseman in Norway was the worst. But that water's 50 degrees, and I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending 2 hours in 50-degree water. And then
I would literally die.
Yeah, but the off-road triathlons, I know Rich, there's more to it because he's like the Rain Man of workouts. If you say to him, hey, what workout did you do on October 12th of 2012? And he'll be like, okay, so it started out, it was 32 wall balls into snatching 135 pounds for hang snatch for 10 into, and I'm like,
yeah, but my heart rate didn't hit 160 until the third, and you're like, okay, all right. He knows it, man.
Yeah, he should have been an engineer. The guy knows all these numbers.
True.
Yeah. But so what are you doing?
I work for Rich. So I head up business development here at Mayhem. And so that means that I'm actually Rich's agent and also get to work on all the cool stuff that we've got going on. So I stumbled into it, really just came to be part of the community while I thought I would still be working for CrossFit HQ. And yeah, man, we got, like, as you well know, I mean, long before I ever came here, like, there's amazing media that comes out of here. There's really cool people, really fun stuff going on a consistent basis. And so now we're just, basically my job is to kind of make it a little bit more intentional, but shine a light on the party.
It's awesome. I watch a lot of the videos and all the fun stuff that goes on there, and the whole bison. He's got a bison company. I mean, it's great. Rich looks like, he told me, I said, I really want to come by and work out at the barn, but I don't want you to kill me. Like, I want to do it. I want to say I was there. I've done so many cool things in life. That would, like, be a bucket list. And I just don't trust him. I don't trust him.
Well, I mean, dude, people fail to realize that there's a lot of, like, normal humans that train there too.
At the barn.
You know what I mean?
Not at Mayhem.
Yeah. No, at the barn for sure. Like, we actually there's a group of us who, like, qualify as masters athletes, and
that's good athletes. I'm not one of them.
Well, and sorry. Yeah, actually these guys are fantastic athletes, but we call ourselves, they call themselves Team Time Cap. I'm unofficially putting myself into the group. No, there's plenty of people on a consistent basis as they're passing through town that come in, and it's just like anything else, CrossFit. Like, you do your version of what these guys are doing. There's no way someone's going to expect you to snatch 265 for reps. You know what I mean?
Right. Or
there's, like, it's just a silly amount of legless rope climbs in a workout. And it's like, do your best to keep up. Don't kill yourself.
Well, not that he's in the same category at all, but I've been working out lately with Hunter McIntyre. And
oh, no way.
And and I was supposed to go there today, and I was like, I can't. I always try to find an excuse. He lives up in Malibu near me, and I made the mistake of doing a 68-mile trail run with him. And,
oh, man.
Yeah, and now he thinks I'm capable of things like that. And that was on a
Did you hang?
I made it. Look, it was a fluke. I should not have made it because everyone else quit. Only 4 of us made it. Tommy Hackenbrook, me, Hunter, and 5 of us, 2 other guys. So the whole group that started, everyone quit. And Tommy and I couldn't have done it without Tommy and Hunter just, like, nipping at my heels, yelling at me the whole time. But it was brutal. And now Hunter thinks I can do anything. So he's like, hey, come over. We're going to sled drag up this mountain. And then we're going to throw the weights down the hill. And you're going to have to run down. And it's always weird stuff like that. And but he's an idiot. I've got him challenged. I've got him in the beer mile, though. He's got to break 6 minutes. 6 minutes on September 15th.
Okay.
I have Corey Belmore coming on the show next week or the week after, who's the world record holder at 4:24.
Oh, dude, I've heard about that guy.
4:24.
It's ridiculous for both the mile and the beer drinking.
Yes, and Hunter says it's going to be so easy. He said he trained this morning, and when he said trained, he meant drank. But we're going to do it I think we're going to do it at Pepperdine or Malibu High, and if anyone wants to come watch.
I'm looking at my time right now.
I saw you do it, and I feel like you cheated. You did it so well.
Why?
Because, first of all, you did 5 laps. Didn't you have to do an extra beer?
We did an extra beer, but not an extra lap.
Because your quarter mile was a little too short or something.
Oh, here's what it was. We said, okay, so by the official rules, a minimum of 5% alcohol by volume is what you're supposed to drink. So since we were drinking Coors Light, we drink a 5th one.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Mars beat me. I think
you did it in what, 8?
I'm looking right now. Let me see. Do we even write our times on it? 8:04. Yeah.
That was pretty impressive. Not that I'm any good at it but I was good at drinking. It took me like 10 minutes, 10 something, and then I did it again and puked everywhere. I chose wrong. I chose bad beer.
It would currently be it would be challenging for me to run an 8-minute mile period right now.
Well, I did it with Pabst Blue Ribbon warm the second time, thinking warm would be easier to chug. And it just,
what?
Yeah, it was awful.
What kind? Sorry, dude. That's one of the stupidest things I've ever heard.
No, the pros do it. They leave them out for about an hour because it's easier to chug a less cold beer.
I don't get it. All right, well, good. So wait, so we can watch that? That's going to happen?
Yeah.
Hunter's going to actually do that too?
$1,000.
Oh, I can't wait. Between him and the 4-minute whatever guy?
So I get 1,000 if he loses. No, if he doesn't break 6 minutes, I get 1,000.
Oh, 6 minutes. I was going to say, like, if he could beat the 4-minute guy, that would be astounding.
No, he can't come close to beating him. I mean, Hunter runs a 4:15 or 4:30 mile or something. So I just don't think he's going to be able to hold the beer down and do that.
Yeah, he's an impressive guy. He's got, you know what? He talks a good game. I like the way that he plays the game.
He loves to talk.
He loves to talk. I love it.
He showed me a text that he sent somebody trying to like start a fight with them. And it was the funniest. It's like someone in the CrossFit business. I don't want to bring it up. It was like someone who took a jab at him and then he went back. But his is all in good fun. His is like, let's do this. Let's make fun out of it. And he was like, I want to film it. I will beat you, blah, blah, blah. And then just as long as you promise me, I get to teabag you afterwards.
And was it taken in good humor? Like, was it received well?
No response whatsoever. You know, like and you know these people. It's just he's loves to
tell me who it was.
No, he loves to fuck.
Tell me who it was.
No, I can't.
Tell me who it was, or the interview is over. I'm leaving.
Not on here.
I'm leaving.
No.
All right.
I don't like to start trouble, but I don't know. Anyway, has CrossFit contacted you and tried to bring you back yet?
No. You know what was funny though?
Don't lie.
No, it's true.
Tell me I'm leaving the meeting right now.
See, you're wired in though. That doesn't count.
I know that. I know they want you back.
No, it's a true story, man. I did have the chance to meet. Eric came out here before the sale was final. He came out to a train with Rich, which I thought was really cool because he did not have to. He made an effort, and obviously there's more than one athlete here that he came out to meet. But it was really cool, man. He came, he gave he spent a whole hour talking to participants and doing a full question and answer, like no holds barred. He didn't avoid any questions. And behind the scenes, he sat with us for quite a while and listened to people's feedback. And, to his credit, I think like he's done a really good job of acting like a sponge before the sale was made final. And I guess it's to be determined like what kind of changes he'll put in place and how effective those will be in implementing change in the organization. But that's a really long and roundabout way to say like, no one has asked me to come and work for CrossFit.
I just figured, what you guys did there, I don't want to kiss your ass. I don't have much of a media background, but in acting and film and always being around, I've made some films and stuff. I watched you guys start from nothing and build something so quickly. It was like you made a studio, like you built a small studio, and it was incredible. Like, take CrossFit out of the element, like out of the equation. What you guys did was like mind blowing. And so that individual entity itself, CrossFit Media, almost was like something that could be packaged and sold. And to like cancel it and cut it out, I was like, wait a minute, you don't know what you're sitting on here. These guys have put together and have created a studio. And to just cut it loose was insane. I felt like, that was one of the biggest mistakes I felt from the beginning, because media was what grew that business. And as the business grew, as the media grew, the business grew. And I guess there was a lot of overhead, but it's big picture. It's big picture, and you can't try to nickel and dime and try to think about how much profit you're going to make when you're building something. Well, and man, I mean, like it's been a while, like for me to get the air out and get distance from it. And I still can't make sense of why, but what I hope comes back was one thing that seemed like, it was like, hey, we have to eradicate this, meaning like the focus on games in order to focus on this, which is kind of everyday athlete or even like the geriatric community. And I just don't think it has to be that way. I think that in the early days, it was like it is like anybody who's in love with the program,
it is so fantastic at being like exactly what the kind of early journals would say, which is like, we're going to program for Navy SEALs, and this will make you the most effective person and, weapon or firefighter or, top athlete in the world, but also it can trickle down and grandma can do it. And so, I thought that I was really proud of being able to run that gamut but you can argue it both ways. So my argument was always, yes, it's tremendously expensive, both from a human resources and also from a dollars and cents point of view, but every company has a marketing budget, and the argument against the CrossFit Games being the marketing for CrossFit was that it scared away as many people as it brought in. And honestly, like, all we have is anecdotal evidence. Like, how many people that were attracted to the game, saw it, got their ass off the couch and lost 100 pounds. And there's other people who know friends who saw the CrossFit Games and they're like, oh, I'll never touch a CrossFit gym if you paid me $1 million. So, it's always just kind of personal opinion, but the way it went down was always kind of strange.
Where do you think the decision came from? Do you think it came from Glassman, or do you think it came from a CEO or, one of the guys that came in that Glassman brought in? Somebody analyzed and went, oh, well, this is where the numbers are. And
no, I think Greg was always kind of leaned in that direction. And listen, here's where I'll give Greg credit, is like being here, trying to run the Mayhem Classic, trying to do Mayhem Madness. There is so much truth to it. Your staff is hyper-focused on a very stressful and very expensive deliverable, and versus focusing on affiliates, versus focusing on training content, versus focusing on seminars. And so, I got to give him credit for that. It wasn't completely illogical. The way that it played out, I thought was, I don't even know the words for it. It was like, it could have been done so much better from a communication standpoint, from a, you could have cut out and sold the games. Like they could have.
That's what I always thought. I was like, why don't you just rebrand it under a different name? And it just didn't make any sense. And
or under the same name and collect a licensing fee for it, just like all the sanctionals. That's what that is, right? It's a licensing model where the name is still valuable, which it is, and you just collect dollars and you let somebody else have the headache of running the events and all of that. Right. But they don't have to worry about it. And from what it seems like Eric appears to be extremely focused on the sport and making it, in his words, one of the most important sports of the decade. So how that happens, I'd be really interested to see. But I think I don't think it's unreasonable to believe that could happen.
He's a pretty good athlete. I saw he had a 2:40 Fran time.
Bro, well, he came here and look, anybody can throw out a Fran time and be like, no, I've got this Fran time. Well, he came here to train with Rich, and this is one of my favorite things was we go for the first workout of the day. Homeboy pops his top, and it's not hard to do better bar muscle ups than me, but dude, he was sailing, and it's just cool to see him roll up his sleeves and plug in, and he is a great athlete, which again, I don't think that's a prerequisite. Greg Glassman is one of the smartest people that I ever met, and it had nothing to do with his athletic abilities. I think you could be a great football coach without playing football. But it is cool to see somebody it was really cool to see the guy who was going to take over the show was obviously invested.
I will disagree with you there. I get that you cannot coach football or not play football and coach football. I feel like when you're selling health and fitness, if you're not walking the walk, it's hard to listen to a person that is not doing it and I know he had an injury and this and that, but the guy is not the picture of health. Let's be honest.
That's fair.
And so I think a lot of times people saw that, it's like people buy the shit off TV because they see the person in the infomercial. They're like, I want to look like him. And Glassman, it's like, wait a minute. This is this guy created what? Huh? And so it looks a lot better with Eric. He looks.
Let me just give you a counter argument to that. And it may seem strange that I'm arguing it, but again, I think that I give credit where credit's due. And despite my history or whatever it is, I feel like I owe a lot to Greg. And what I would say is at the time when CrossFit was developed, it was all, and even now, like fitness programs are typically, yeah, they're aspirational in the sense like, yes, maybe you're looking at somebody who looks like they really walk the walk. But at the time that CrossFit came about, it was all sort of individual based on a celebrity, right? So the fact that it's not Greg Glassman fit is already kind of an accolade to him, that he called it CrossFit and sort of made it about a community as opposed to making it about himself.
Yeah.
And I would say that like a lot of the reason that people were drawn to it is the fact that it was more than just exercises in a gym, and it had it had a large intellectual component to it. And so anyways, that's all I'll say in defense, but I also fully understand what you're saying.
That makes a lot of sense, because that's what I got from it when I started, which was, I don't know, like 12 years ago or whatever it was. Hey, here's these guys that have used the internet to deduce what works, what doesn't. They've eliminated all the excess stuff, anything that's superfluous, anything that you don't need to do. They've made a really efficient program that people that need to perform at a high level use, because it's that efficient, it's that good, and why waste your time? And almost like this guy's a scientist that's developed this. I get that. Like, like if I'm going to perform in a sport, I'm going to want the best coach. I'm not going to, like I always say about CrossFit, doesn't matter about the gym, it matters about the coach. And
yes,
I always feel like a lot of CrossFit, I think the CrossFit Games hurt CrossFit. One of my arguments where it hurt CrossFit was that the affiliates, to keep up with the Open and everything, started buying 80 sets of dumbbells and every single piece of equipment that needed to be used, instead of running around the block and throwing wall balls at a brick wall. And so the gym started spending a shitload of money on equipment, when the whole idea was you don't need equipment. You need coaching. You need to just put a pull-up bar on the wall. And that was like the beginning of CrossFit, was like, it doesn't matter. Put on your chucks and run around the block, and see this kettlebell. You're just going to throw this thing around, and you're going to get in crazy, crazy shape. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, how many GHD machines do you have? You need 16 C2 rowers. And all of a sudden everybody's like, why am I not making money? And then the affiliates start arguing and start complaining that they're not making money. And it was, the Games was like, what can we do now? And it did. It got exciting, and it was like, but they were two different things. So maybe, and I hear that argument now with people are going, oh, now the Open, or now the fact that we've got to get into the CrossFit Games because the playing field has to be leveled. We're all going to have to do these like simple workouts in the gym, and there's not going to be fun, crazy shit that we do at the Games. So, yeah. I mean, I just think they should, just like everybody else, pull it this year. Just be like the Olympics. Be like, I mean, the NFL hasn't pulled, or NBA or anything. I just think you take a year off and you come back, because I feel bad for the athletes that they like train and then stop and then train. It's like, how do you peak? How do you get ready for this? Not knowing. I guess it's not knowing. Actually, it makes sense to Glassman's argument.
Same sentiment, actually. I feel bad for the athletes in a sense that they're like, I see Fraser and Tia come here on a consistent basis. And I understand that they are still every day on the hopes. I see Haley Adams almost daily up at the barn, crushing themselves with a constantly moving target. So I feel you on that. And then the only part of me that's like, that counters like, yeah, why not just cancel it, is that they are like, well, look, we've come this far. Whether it's online and then we've only got 5 at the Games, like, shit, I still want to show something. Like, I've been working my ass off, you know?
True. Good point.
Even if the financial reward is far lessened, or the accolades have an asterisk by them, but still they're like, at least it's something, because the last 12 months have been brutal.
Yeah. Okay. I'm wrong. I agree.
No. Like I'm Mr. Gray Area. Like, I see it both ways, Like I do agree with you that if it's going to get canceled, cancel it now.
But I also don't understand. I've got friends that do testing. Their company goes around and tests all around the world, all the corporations and everything. And, a big big name people that I can't even mention that have them come in, test their families, test their companies, test their executives. There's a test right now that's a 5-minute COVID test. 5 minutes later, and it's a QT, one of those PRCs or whatever, or PCRs, and they were saying it's a 5 minutes, a very accurate test. Why can't they just bring all the athletes, test them, and put them in a bubble for the? I don't understand that. And everybody's like, well, what about all the other people that are involved? Well, you don't let spectators. They get to bring a coach. The whole original plan, if everyone's tested, I don't see why this is a problem. And why they can't get away with it, but the NBA and Major League Baseball and all these other guys can get away with it.
Well, I mean, but see, even like the MLB's not pulling it off.
No, not at all.
And there's more people to be concerned about there. There's more, there's probably a lot more variables with that as well. But yeah, I'm with you. We did a Train with Rich seminar recently, and a guy named Bobby Petrus, who's running the Masters Fitness Collective. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Okay. So he runs, basically he's got healthcare facilities, and he hooked us up with tests, and it was, they were very, very inexpensive, and it was a 10-minute turnaround, and we tested all the participants before they entered the doors. And it gave everyone, a nice sense of security. And yes, they went back to their hotels in the evening, and no, you couldn't control where they were at all times of day. But I hear you, man. I think it's just such a hot topic, and it's like no event wants to run an event at the risk of looking like a complete asshole and being like, yes, I'm the cause of this international breakout at a time when everyone's like, look, let's just hold our breath for a little bit longer and try and eradicate this thing as best we can.
You mean like the OC throwdown with the hurdles?
No comment. Is that still around?
No. We had that guy on the show before the event, and he was showing us, and I went, that's a bad idea. Like, that's a horrible idea. And I ran hurdles in college and did, we did hurdle drills, and I'm like, people are gonna die. You're gonna hurt people really. And it's so funny because I'm screaming at him going, this is terrible. This is the worst idea ever.
And what was the response?
He just was like, oh, we've tested it. It's going to be fine. Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, it's not. I think he got out of it, and then somebody else took it over. And no, that event does not exist any longer.
No, they had much bigger problems, right?
I have a question for you. What'd you go to college for?
I got a degree in international relations. So basically poli-sci, basically leisure studies, if you really want to be honest about it.
I have the same degree.
Why?
How did you get involved in the media?
Gosh, man, I was fully homegrown. So the way I did stuff when I was younger. So when I was in college, don't tell anybody else this, okay, except for your viewers. But I did modeling gigs and stuff like that. So I vaguely dipped a toe into the entertainment industry early on, but never did any kind of photojournalism. If to be completely honest, because I was at SC, I went to college quickly, meaning I didn't take a gap year or anything, because I was going to play college football. I had a preferred walk-on status that I never took up. I never went to practice.
What was your position?
I was an outside linebacker in high school.
Okay.
And the shame of the whole thing, now we're kind of these are all side notes here, but this was the Reggie Bush, Carson Palmer days. So even if I sat on the bench, I'd have 2 championship rings. So missed opportunity. But as mentioned, the ski and snowboard team was the shit anyway. So we had a great time. So I kind of had a taste for it. I knew that I certainly loved being on camera, but I kind of let that all go to the side, and I went around, I ski bombed, I traveled. I was in Europe for a long time. And then when I came back I was working summers in Alaska, and there was one particular year where I came to San Diego. I'd been following CrossFit.
Were you on a fishing boat?
I was at a fishing lodge. Okay. So I was fishing streams and rivers. And so when I came back down, I had been following CrossFit that summer on the internet, and I saw my first physical CrossFit gym, which was, it was called US CrossFit, but it's in Encinitas, North County, San Diego.
Have that in common. That's how I got involved.
Yeah.
Same thing. Mark
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And so I worked for Mark for 2 years, and got my level 1, got my level 2, started teaching seminars. And this whole long story short is that I went to the 2008 games, and at the 2009 games, my now brother-in-law needed help with videos. And he's like, hey man, like help me out with this, do a little bit of shooting, do a little bit of talking on camera.
Jordan Gravatt, right?
Exactly. Jordan's my brother-in-law. And I met Tony Budding, who was then the director of media. And he was like, hey, we're getting real big. Like I need another employee, which would bring the grand total to 2.
That's crazy.
And I know. And so he hired me, and it was my first job ever for CrossFit was rewriting the abstracts for the CrossFit Journal. Like every CrossFit Journal that existed at the time, I rewrote the journal abstracts. And then it was behind the scenes, like exporting videos.
Why did they have to be rewritten?
Because they had just used a computer program which did like a random quote poll. Mm-hmm. And so like you would search for Mark Ripito squat, and the abstract would be like an arbitrary part of the article. Like it wouldn't even be like in this article. It would just be like the toes are at 15 degrees unless you got a knee issue. You know what I mean? Like it was completely arbitrary.
Wait, so they wanted it so that you could Google search it and it would show up more often?
No, like within the CrossFit Journal, if you were to search for something.
Oh, okay.
And you pulled it up, like the abstract that went along with it, like, hey, what's this article all about? It didn't make sense. It was like the internet randomly pulled like a small section of it.
That sounds like a horrible job.
I mean, I enjoyed writing and I really wanted to be involved. And like back then it was, even in seminars, it was like, man, it was a badge of honor just to be like part of the crew. Yeah. It was cool. And I could take what I would get. And, I was working for Mark. I was having a blast. I was surfing all the time and wasn't taking life too seriously. So it was my first kind of roll up the sleeves and see what I can do.
Was San Diego home for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was there for almost 3 years.
Did you grow up there?
No, dude, I'm a Texan.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm from Austin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I grew up all the way through high school in Texas, and then went to SC. So I went straight from Texas to California and pretty much spent the rest of my adult life there.
Okay. So that's weird. You've lived in 2 of the coolest places in the world, 3 of the coolest places. And then now you're in Cookeville, Tennessee.
Hey man, make it number 4, whatever. Like, I've lived in a lot of cool places actually, including all of those. But listen, people talk about Cookeville because of CrossFit, but Tennessee is badass, especially, we get like, the climate currently is, it's a great place to be. In terms of land and being outside and all that kind of stuff, it's almost second to none, man. There's as many waterfalls here as any other state except for Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
It's like it's covered in water. It's covered in state parks. There's like from Cookeville, you could throw a rock and hit a state park in like almost every direction.
Yeah, I think we stayed at Robert Moses. Was that the one?
Okay.
State park, where the big waterfall is. We were camping the whole way across the country, but they're beautiful. Tennessee's beautiful. My football was. I don't know if you're familiar with he just passed away, Johnny Majors. He was second in the Heisman. Paul Hornung won it, and then he went on to coach the University of Pittsburgh to the national championship, and he coached at Tennessee for years. So I was always he's my godfather. I was always in Knoxville, Tennessee, and that's where he went back to coach there and ended up living down there, and so I had a lot of history with Tennessee. So when Cookeville, I was like, that's not even Nashville. That's where. Like, what is this place that's becoming this CrossFit mecca that everybody's going to? And it's funny and it's kind of cool. It's like every town needs a purpose. This is a cool little thing.
For sure, man. And then, my kids, so we moved here trying to get, we knew we wanted to leave California, and we wanted to get here before my son got into middle school. And, just to also, from a completely different angle, but an important one, like the cost of living here and like how far your dollar goes is astounding if you've lived in Northern California. Yeah. Like astounding.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
Yeah. Seriously. I mean, there's a reason that California is so expensive. I love California. The weather is perfect. Like in Santa Cruz, there were redwoods next to an ocean that people like save their entire life to come and visit. And I get all that, but when your priorities change, your kids are getting older and stuff, I'm like, it's nice to be out here.
Yeah, I say that to my wife all the time. She used to complain. She'd be stuck in traffic taking our kid to and from school on the PCH. And she'd be like, oh, my God, it's going to take me an hour to get home. And I'd go, look left.
Exactly.
And she would be like, what? And I'm like, people save their entire lives to go see that. And
True.
You drive it every day and you're complaining because you're stuck on it. I'm like, shut up. Shut up.
Yep.
I mean, now it's like I think about how much money we spend to live here. And it's people always go, like, good, the taxes are high. I'm like, yeah, it's called a cover charge. It's people want to get in. It's a great place.
It's true, man. It's true.
But no, I thought, and I love little towns, and I weirdly I had never been there. I played like every college in the country doing stand up, and I'd never been to Cookeville, and I was like, oh, this place is really cool. I just didn't want to show up and be like, hi guys, I'm here. I just want.
Oh, bro, next time. You totally should. You totally should.
It was so random. We were driving across country, and all of a sudden I look on the map, and I'm like, Cookeville? We're driving because we were going to North Carolina. My in-laws live there. I'm like, Cookeville? And I'm like, I know a bunch of people there.
Yeah, man. And it is kind of like just like for most people who, especially if you don't do CrossFit, I would get, Tennessee Tech's here. So there is some draw in that sense. But yeah, for a lot of people, it's just sort of like a blow by. Like, oh yeah, I stopped in Cookeville to get gas. Or like, yeah, I hit up Chick-fil-A on my way to Knoxville.
But do people show up just to like work out at Mayhem, like drop in?
All the time.
Like random from like other countries and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I forget, I mean, this is long rumored now, and I forget where I first heard it, but apparently when you go to Iceland, Annie's gym is in like the top 3 in terms of taxi cab drivers where they're requested to go. Oh. And and here it's like, it is a massive draw in terms of tourism and whatnot. We're closed to drop-ins for COVID and have been for months now. But before that, it's wild, man. Like I usually just take an 8:15 a.m. class, and there was almost every single day there would be someone who was just there to buy a t-shirt, say hi, and hope they saw Rich.
I love it. Like they want to see him. Like he's like, I performed at Florida State one time, and one of the kids was telling me, he's like, I had a Bowden sighting. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I had a sighting. And I go, what do you, he goes, I was on campus one day, and I saw him walk out of this building and go in another building. And I'm like, a sighting? Like you're talking about a football coach? Like, and, I think there are people like, I mean, I was just always amazed at how quickly all of the CrossFit athletes became celebrities in this weird internet world.
Yeah.
And how much they still are. I was telling Jacob Hebner the other day, like how much of an impact they have, and how, like, I know actors and actresses that would kill to have the profile that these guys have. Kill. Yes. And they're on TV series that people watch every single day, and they don't have 1/10 of the following that any of these athletes have. And so they can really, really use that profile. And some of them do, some of them don't.
It's easy to forget, man. Like, and like you're saying, these people that you're hanging out with on a daily basis, or like, you've been around this for a long time. And so same for me. I mean, I always felt like the games were big, but it was big in a relative sense. And now that they've gotten huge, it's easy to forget until you see like the interaction with these guys and other people that don't see them all the time. I got to go to Australia last year for an event called the Torian Pro, and Tia kind of invited the entire Mayhem team. And it was the first time she was down there since her book released. And it was the first time she competed in Australia, I think, like since she'd won the games, really. But anyways, she was just swarmed. She and Rich, you were like, it was wild, man. Like you thought, who knows, like the biggest star that you've ever seen had just showed up,
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was that? What part of Australia?
We were in Brisbane.
Okay. Oh God, I can just imagine. I spent a lot of time in Australia.
Yeah, we actually, we got out like, I left before those guys, and they almost didn't get out because it was right when those fires started.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you were there earlier than I was. I left March 10th. I was there for about a month and a half. Yeah. And my wife, I was touring. I was doing a show every night. And I kept telling my producer, I said, hey, I might cut the cord. I might have to cancel shows. And she was really cool about it. You know, she's usually like, no, we got to make the money. And my producer was like, I get it. I understand.
Yeah.
And my wife was going, no, you're going to stay there. And I'm like, no, this is weird. And so I cut all my meet and greets after my shows. I wouldn't shake hands. People were getting mad at me. I wouldn't shake hands with people. And they're like, oh, you're that guy. You're that guy. You're afraid. And I was like, well, more like they were like, hey, mate, you're that fucking guy. And I'm like, what are you, fucking poof night? And I'm like, no, I'd just give them an elbow. And it got to the point as the days wore on where I'd like do my show. I'd go to my show, go in the back door, get off stage, go straight home to my hotel and like lock myself. I was like, I don't want to mess around. I want to get home.
For sure.
I don't want to be stuck in like another country.
You'd be stuck in a hotel with Tom Hanks down there.
That's it. It was starting to get scary. So I am here now. And I had a few more questions and then I'll let you go. I didn't put up, I forgot to ask, the listeners like to ask a lot of questions. I have a million questions for you. But,
go, bro. The only thing I'll do is take a bathroom break, and then I got all day.
I wanted to know, would you be adverse to going back and commentating at the games?
No. In fact, I'm sure that I'd love it.
I mean, you were, like a few of my friends, like Sal, and have been ESPN hosts and buddies with Johnny Mosley, and they do a really good job. But I mean, you picked that up. I've hosted TV shows and stuff like that, and I stink. You know, I just try to be funny here and there. But you were such a natural, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass. You were so natural that I thought, this is on ESPN. I'm surprised ESPN doesn't say, hey, Rory, can you do this sport? Can you do this sport? Can you do this sport? Because it just was like second nature for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I really do love it. I really do. I don't know though. It was funny. People said like, oh, did you do other sports? And like, I don't know. I really truly think that it was because of like a genuine, like, I mean, I was obsessed with CrossFit for a long time, not just professionally, but also personally. And so there was that kind of deep rooted, whatever. In fact, to the point where like I would get mad when like they would bring people in from, I love him now, but like we had a co-host who came in for the first time. He's like, hey, so tell me how this whole thing works. And it was the first time that I realized that was like, you just need to be a good presenter to be a host. And then to be an analyst, you obviously have to be like obsessed with the sport and know as many numbers as Tommy Marquez and all that. But yeah, I mean, that was why when I got fired, I was like nothing but gratitude because I've just loved every second of it, man. Like I'd like to think that I never took any of it for granted. I'm sure that I did some of it, but getting to travel the world and do like open announcements and the invitationals and even the television stuff. It was a blast. So would I go back and do it again? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. One question right now, and then you can go pee, and I'll do some ads while you're gone.
Okay.
Where do you think Glassman is right now?
Man, hopefully on a white sandy beach, I guess.
That's my guess. That's my guess.
No freaking clue.
I mean, I feel bad for him in the sense that one time somebody asked him when the whole unbuyable thing was going on, and he said, I posted that a million times. The T-shirts and everything when he sold the company. He said, what would I do? This is what I like to do.
Yeah.
People have always said to me, what would like stand up. I would still, if I was independently wealthy, I would go to the Comedy Cellar every night or the Comedy Store and still perform because I love like great shows. I love stand up.
Yeah.
But I don't like all the bullshit I don't like flying and traveling and doing all that stuff. But if you said, hey, there's a sold out crowd at the Comedy Store right now and you can go do 15 minutes, it's like, that's like the most, it's like sex. It's that good. And I feel like for Glassman, as much as he's sitting on $200 million right now or whatever it is, you've taken away his baby. And so he can be sitting on a sandy beach, but he's going, twiddling his thumbs going, what am I going to do now? And I hope he's, drinking some good Mai Tais or something. And
yeah, it's really easy to be like, man, if I had a pile of money and yes, everybody's got different aspirations, right? Like, I'm like, shit, that's my dream come true. like if anybody wants to give me a lot of money and kick me out, like I will go and just be somewhere. But yeah, I think man, it's brutal, right? It's like it's very multifaceted. Yeah, to kind of go out that way and, be forced into a situation like that. It's like, yeah, it can't feel good.
I wonder if we'll ever see him reemerge in any kind of media sense where, like, where is Greg Glassman now? And they're like, oh, he's teaching high school phys ed at a school in Oregon right now. Like, where is he? Or he started this company, or he did this, or what, Well,
and in that sense, like you got to, again, like everyone's different, but he's basically retirement age anyhow, right? So
yeah,
I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah. All right, go to the bathroom. I'll talk about
copy
non-alcoholic alcohol.
Oh, really? Okay, I'll listen.
Okay, well, you can hear it. It's the Ritual Beverage Company is they make this stuff that is weird. I'm talking to no one right now, so I'm just talking to you guys, the listeners, and I'm looking at you because we're on YouTube now, second episode ever on YouTube. Ritual Zero, basically what it is, if you like alcohol but you can't drink alcohol, if you like spirits, like you like tequila, you like whiskey, and I think they have one other. I know because I like whiskey and I like tequila, so that's why I remember. But they have a third one. I think it's what's the other one? Oh, I forget. Anyways, they're all like 0 calorie. If you're like pregnant women can drink this. People that are former alcoholics can drink it. You can go drink all night long these, sip them. You're not going to drink. You're not going to chug alcohol. You sip it, and then you can go work out the next day and not have to worry. I'm the kind of person, I go to a bar, I have to have a drink in my hand. Sometimes I don't want to drink, though. And people will always ask you, like, what are you drinking? And then they give you a hard time, and there's peer pressure. This way, you just get this. It's Ritual Zero. It's, like I said, 0 calories with the exception of, the tequila and gin are 0. The whiskey is 10 calories. Big deal. They're all natural, gluten-free, and non-GMO. They're enjoyed by athletes everywhere as an alternative to liquor. And look, it's hydrating. Most alcohol is not. Most alcohol is a diuretic. This is, there's hydration. And right now, talk about an immunity boost. You don't want to be drinking because that can hurt your immunity. So go to ritualzeroproof.com, use the promo code WODcast, and you're going to get 20% off your first purchase. I'm serious. You want to try, you want a margarita, you want a gin and tonic, whiskey sour, go try these. Again, that's ritualzeroproof.com. Enjoy the ritual without the alcohol. You ever drank non-alcoholic alcohol?
Hey, listen, man, believe it or not, since Jan 1, I've been a sober sister. So
did you,
but here's the deal about non-alcoholic alcohol. I'm not even getting into it because I'm going to respect your sponsors.
No. I get it because my first thought was like, people usually drink alcohol not for the taste, and they drink alcohol to get drunk. And
correct.
People like non-alcoholic beer. And then I found there are people, and I'm weirdly one of them. I like the taste of tequila. It's got to be a real good tequila, and I will drink it on the rocks, and I will have a taste for it. Like there are times when I don't drink much at all anymore just because I have 2 little kids and don't want to deal with a hangover. Yeah. But I just hate hangovers completely, and that's the whole reason. But I do miss like sipping on a nice cocktail, like a straight, like not even on the rocks, not even neat.
Or more than anything, like in like a recent sober phase, what I could say is like socially, it makes a lot of things easier too.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like it just, instead of always having to explain why you're not drinking, just be like, yeah, I'll have, like pull out your own like booze and have a fake drink with your buddies. It's easier probably than for
years I did that, especially doing stand up, where I I would have them give me like a drink and a cocktail drink, so that the audience wouldn't bother me, because they'd send drinks, and when they would send drinks, I always had them send fake, like shots. I'd tell the bartender, if anyone orders me shots, make them fake, because I won't be able to stand.
You get thrown off your game like that, dude.
For a while I was good. I was a drunk comic, and that was like my thing. And then as I got older, it was like I didn't have the ability to do that. You're not on your game as much. So I remember I was at this club called the Underground in Seattle. I told the bartender, he's this old dude, I go, hey, fake shots. No, don't even think about it, fake shots.
Right.
The crowd in Seattle is kind of like they're maniacs. And the next thing you know, the shots start coming, and they're starting to laugh at how many shots I'm doing. So, like, I'm an hour and a half into the show, and I've done 22 shots. And the crowd's like, this guy's a monster, and I'm like, look at me, it isn't even affecting me at all. And the crowd, like, I'm egging them on. And the best part is they're tipping the waitresses, paying for the drinks, and all they are is like a splash of Coke and water. And they're just, whatever they are, I'm like, I'll drink anything, and they're getting me tequila.
I love it.
He's just putting like water in. And the crowd's like, God, this guy's amazing. So all of a sudden they hand me one, and I go to drink it, just like knowing it's water or whatever, or some red thing in it. And I'm just like, they got this. And it burns my throat so bad. And I'm like, and I kind of like puke a little on stage. And I'm like, what the fuck? What was and I'm like, what happened? Like, this just went completely against. And so after the show, I go up to, his name was Kenny, the bartender. I go, Kenny, the fuck? Like, what'd you just do to me? I go, and it was like a double shot too. And I go, Kenny, what'd you do? And he goes, somebody sniffed you out. He goes, this guy came to the bar and ordered a double prairie fire. And he goes, I said, okay, I'll send it out. And he goes, no, I want to watch you pour it.
I love it, dude.
And so that I learned my lesson. But so Ritual Zero Proof, do it.
Ritual Zero Proof. What else you got? Don't let me block you from your commercials. They're fun to talk about.
I do have. Do you ever use the Myopucks?
No.
Oh, how about the leopard claw? Have you ever used a leopard claw? It's like a gua sha. It's
I'm familiar.
Graston. Have you ever Graston?
Yep.
This thing is awesome. Says WODcast on it. We give these to anybody who donates to our Patreon. Well, you have to be in the drawing. But this week,
who's the point of contact for them?
Troy.
Troy, that's right. Yeah, Troy Willis. Yeah. Okay.
Troy's great.
So yes, I definitely know the claw.
The claw is great, and the Myopucks is an electronic muscle stimulator that's unbelievable that I use constantly because I'm injured all the time, and it flushes your. Do you know Gary Reinl at all? You familiar with Gary?
I don't know. How do you spell the last name?
Guy who basically he wrote the book about icing, about how bad icing.
Oh, okay.
And why you shouldn't ice, and why you want the inflammatory response, and you just want to expedite that, because why would you stop that? That is a natural part of the body's recovery, and if you're going to stop it with icing. So Gary's a big proponent of electronic muscle stimulators, and I always call him when I have an injury, and I'm like, how like my kid fell on his head, and I called him. I'm like, I'm not going to hook up an electronic muscle stimulator in my kid's head. What am I going to do? He's like, just move, make him move his face, move his head, keep the blood circulating. And he's like, make him chew stuff and I was like, oh, okay, good to know. He got me off a mountain one day. I sprained my ankle on a mountain. Any other time I would have sat down and rested it and then crawled off the mountain. But I sat there and did ankle pumps the whole time. And the next thing I know, I was running again. And I was like deep into the mountain. So, good stuff. We did have a winner, though, of the Myopucks and the Leopard Claw this week, and that is Gareth Crowther. Gareth, congratulations!
Yes, Gareth.
A claw and a Myopucks.
How did he win? What did he do?
He donated $5 a month to the Patreon. You know?
Oh, dude, small price to pay for a tiger claw,
Exactly.
leopard claw,
We don't have the budget.
Eddie claw.
We don't have the budget of Mayhem. I always wondered, how did they have a CrossFit gym in Cookeville? Like, how small is that town? How can you? And there's like more than one CrossFit there.
There is, yeah.
How many are there?
Well, the next one, honestly, the other one that I know of is not technically in Cookeville as well. It's in a place called Overton.
Oh, I thought there was more than one CrossFit there.
If there is, I've never been to the other location or seen it.
Do you think there's anyone in Cookeville that doesn't know who Rich is?
No.
Really? He's like
really, it's a big deal. And even like, there's tons and tons of people who do like just garage fitness, but they're still rocking Mayhem tees, and they're still involved with like some of the nonprofits that go down here, like Mayhem for Mustard Seed Ranch. And, yeah, so it's a very, people are aware of Mayhem. And dude, it's like if you drove by, when you drove on the 40, you were like, there's this one little freeway that comes off of the 40, and you would have seen Mayhem from the highway. Like it's got a big physical presence also.
Oh, I drove through town.
Okay.
Because we were there. We were practically staying at a state park right there. And I was reading like things to do. Like there was some restaurant, some really good restaurant. What's the name of it? It's like a diner place.
Did you go to like downtown? Like where you, there's a place called the West Side. Okay. Man, there's like, Seven Senses. There is Blue Pig. There is, Father Tom's Pub, Red Silo Brewing Company.
Is it getting to the point, because of how much CrossFit has been there, that it's influenced like the restaurants, like are they all serving like grass-fed beef?
There were some that came like out of CrossFit, meaning like members had started them, but I'm not even sure that one's still operational. So no, not necessarily, but I think that's probably just right around the corner.
Okay.
There's now a new fantastic coffee shop in town, Buffalo Brew. It's literally in the gym.
I quit. Oh, is it? Oh, it's
Yeah.
Rich's Coffee. Well, didn't he have a coffee company before with a couple other CrossFitters?
Yeah. So this is a physical shop. But it's it's bad for my habit. I think you're about to say that you quit drinking coffee, but
I quit.
I very much have not.
I quit coffee. I went to decaf, and then I quit decaf.
Good for you.
Yeah, because I found out decaf is like horrible.
What was the key to quitting coffee?
Panic attacks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was having horrible panic attacks, and so I had to figure out what was causing all the anxiety, and that just attributed to it. I'm high strung as it is, so to just add to it. And I lived in Australia a lot. Like, I used to be about half the year, and they drink so much coffee, and I would just constantly be getting coffees. And
they do have a big coffee culture down there, man.
They really do, and it was like a thing to do. And I'd sit in a coffee. I like to talk, and the next thing you know, it'd be like 3 coffees later, and I'm like, what have I done?
Your heart was at 180 beats per minute, and you're like worrying about, cleaning your.
I drink a little bit of caffeine now. Like I drink O2, recovery drink, and I'll do the one with caffeine, and it doesn't affect me. But that's like the kind of caffeine that's in like green tea. It's like and it doesn't. But you don't get. Do you? And I never felt wide awake. I just felt jittery.
I hear you. Yeah, I've cut down dramatically. And have you ever heard of it's just a naturally occurring herb called ashwagandha?
I have.
Ashwagandha is like, it's been fantastic for like kind of normalizing and trying to get, just kind of trying to get like your baseline back to zero without caffeine, without coffee, whatever. I guess that's like one of its properties, is it's supposed to kind of help with anxiety and help with that, but also kind of get your baseline back where it's supposed to be.
I heard about that when I did have the anxiety. It's so funny. I cured my anxiety completely, and people are like, "How'd you do that?" And I'm like, "You should write a book, because like you're the first person to cure." I was like, "No, I just did these little tricks and it worked." And I mean, I was bad. I was like freaking out, and it was debilitating. And it came out of nowhere. Had it for about 2 years, and then just cured it. Haven't ever had anxiety attack ever since. But
Wow.
But I wouldn't fuck with coffee. Like I just
sure.
I wouldn't want to go there. I don't fuck with edibles. Edibles.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
Edibles would trigger it for me too. And
Oh, dude. Like that's just like rule number one.
yeah, it opened doors that haven't closed. And, I one time went to the Comedy Store, and I was with a guy named Brian Callen, who's in a lot of trouble right now. And
What do you do?
he's just
Tell me later.
Just Google Brian Callen LA Times, and that'll tell you.
Okay.
But Brian's good friends with Joe Rogan, and I'm buddies with Joe, and we went over to the Comedy Store, and I'm talking to Joe, and all of a sudden, some girl. I'm so hungry. I wanted to eat. I wanted to go to dinner. I'm like, I'm so hungry, and some girl goes, "I have a muffin," and I go, "Oh, thank you." And it's a blueberry muffin, and I eat it. And I go, "What's the show tonight?" And Joe goes, "Oh, it's a benefit for medicinal marijuana." And I look right at the girl and I go, "That has pot in it, doesn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah." Like, are you an idiot? Of course it does. And I look at Joe and Brian and I go, "I gotta go. I gotta get home." And they're like, "Why?" I'm like, "I gotta prepare." And they're like, "For what?" I'm like, "The circus is about to begin." And I've had some rough times, so I can smoke it a little bit, but nothing else. Nothing.
I mean, yeah, and I guess maybe anybody who has to learn that lesson has to learn that lesson for themselves. But like, it should almost, in my opinion, should almost be illegal. Like more than any other drug. Like it.
I agree.
Edible marijuana, just like it's just a recipe for disaster.
All I have to do on stage is go, "Hey, so like start a joke about." One time, have you ever had edible? And you'll have the whole audience be like, "Duh!" Everybody's got that like look, like
PTSD.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm like, why? And Joey Diaz, who's a comedian who's really good at it, like lives on edibles. He was like, "Oh my man, you're not doing them right. You gotta blah blah blah." He's like, "You only need 5 milligrams, blah blah blah." And I obviously overdosed. Like, if anybody drinks too much alcohol or too much of this. But you don't know that. And there was no – now they're getting better at it if you buy it from the stores or whatever. I don't know. Is Tennessee are you guys a legal state?
We're not, but that's actually my brother's in the cannabis industry in California. And so it's been interesting seeing the trajectory of all that, like how the measurements have become a little bit more robust and trustworthy. But even like, testing of those products where it's like, okay, fine. So your product is solid, but you're making a candy bar, and like there's no guarantee that this portion is going to have the same amount of THC as this portion. It's like I think it's so far from science at this point where you're like, I understand that it's called medicinal, but you're like, nah, man, you're rolling dice.
I was on a radio show in San Francisco, and one of the guys came on as a guest besides me, and he was a reporter, and he had just done a study. He got the news agency to let him buy all these different marijuana products and take them to a lab to have them tested. None of them were what they said they were, and none of them had the content in them that they said had in them. It was all so off. Now, I know guys that own, like you do, that own some, cannabis stores and stuff, and they'll claim blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm not fucking around. Like, I've had enough. I've had some fun time. I don't need any more. I'll smoke a little bit of it once in a great while, but
that's right.
So Tennessee's never going to legalize. That's like, you got some hardcore.
It's funny. They still call it hemp. And so it's legal to like, I guess they literally have to manufacture it. So the flowers contain whatever it is, less than X amount of THC. So it's almost a different plant altogether.
Okay. Your kids like it there in Tennessee?
They love it. As a comedian, though, you can appreciate this. It's my favorite joke, because it's true, is kids are loving it. They're thriving, but my dog is on Prozac and he's got to wear a thunder vest.
A thunder vest. Oh yeah. To make him feel
I literally have a hound dog, and the poor guy, he's never heard gunshots. He's never heard thunder, because California doesn't have thunderstorms. and he's never heard fireworks. So we moved him here right before the 4th of July.
Oh, geez.
And he literally ate a barn door like inside of our house. And like on a rotating basis, he will just destroy our blinds. Like he's just got crazy anxiety. Yeah.
I'll tell you, I just watched a thing. We're getting a new puppy. We have 2 dogs here, and we're getting a new puppy. And my daughter's like learning to train dogs. And I watched a thing on how to train your dogs I'll try to find it for you, on how to make them like adaptable to fireworks. And
man, I'll take anything.
Yeah,
any of your viewers?
I love dogs, and I always feel sorry for a dog when they have any kind of separation anxiety, or it's just, you think what they're going through, it's not nice.
Yeah, and it's funny, like because popular opinion will tell you that there's no way to train anxiety out of a dog. But there's, we tried a lot of stuff, and you think like something has to mitigate it. But yeah, so far no good. So if anybody knows how to coddle, let me know.
I know what it was. It was the guy, the master's classes that everybody teaches online.
Yeah.
There's some famous dog trainer, and he's on there. And then I went to one of his like side YouTube videos where he was like teaching dogs how to. I think he was training a puppy though, so it was almost like trained from. Puppy.
Yeah, we're 5 years in. We got damaged goods. You know what I mean?
Oh, poor dog. I feel bad. And there's lots of gunshots there, huh?
Oh, bro. Just randomly too. It's like, whatever. Monday afternoon, just bang, bang, bang. Like, what are you doing right now? Target practice on your property.
I live in the mountains above Malibu, and it's like that up here. I call it Malabama because.
Oh, really?
Oh, there's gunshots all the time. Yeah, everybody loves target practice up here. But, we have a lot of liberals, a lot of like tree hugging, as liberal as they can possibly get, and then living right next door to like a crazy redneck, right-wing redneck, and the one thing they all have in common is weed.
Right.
Yeah, like that's their like point where they can be like, all right, we can put our differences aside and smoke.
That's right. I'll reach across the aisle for this one.
Yeah,
reach across the aisle to pass a joint.
But it's a really interesting place because it's like Will Smith lives up here. Like there's a ton of celebrities, and then there's like all these people that are like Malibu kind of land rich, where they moved here in like the 60s.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they're sitting on like a $10 million property.
Right.
But they can't afford to pay for their electricity.
Dude. Can you imagine, like, why wouldn't you just cut and run? You know what I'm saying? Like, take that money and run.
You ask these people, and they're like, where am I going to go? I live in the best place in the world. You're like, yeah, but you live in a shack. And they're like, I don't want to go inland and live on some horrible mansion in the middle of, the city. I get it.
I get it.
I'm trying to think. I know I'm going to get off with you, and then I'm going to go, fuck, I wanted to ask him about this.
We'll do it again, man. We'll do it again.
Mackenzie told me it's amazing there. Brian McKenzie told me he went down there, and he was like, it's like their own, like, world. They have it.
It is cool, dude. And I'll be honest, like, I missed the ocean, but then we got shown, like, lake culture out here. And, like, so people all got boats, and they've got houseboats, and they've got, the wake surfing thing is big now, and it's a blast, dude. Like, it's good living.
And when's Rich going to quit?
Dude, here's the thing is like based on his physical performance, I guess I'll put it a couple ways. He's very publicly and very adamantly stated that he's not going to go back individual. Castro on a recent podcast gave, did you hear this where he was saying that effectively it sounds as if teams might have to be actual affiliates moving forward and they're going to do it with super teams?
No, I didn't hear that.
So there's big consideration there, but I think that if it were based on his physical limitations or desire to compete, I think he'd probably quit in like 2052.
He's gonna be the Kelly Slater.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Jaromir Jagr was the best. At 47, he still played the entire season of hockey in the NHL.
Crazy.
47 years old.
Yeah, and you look at the dude and like, I'm not blowing smoke, but I am a super fan. But like even seeing like the triathlon, and he's hanging with dudes. That's not true. He's not hanging with like the pros, but he was, top of the game for most of the field.
Oh, so this was a real triathlon.
It was a real like off-road triathlon. I don't know how to, it was it was like USAT certified, and it was a legit deal.
Oh, okay. I thought it was one he just put together for you guys. Like
no, we were in it with like the guys in the spandex and the like. Hilarious. It was all it all happened for real.
Oh, I gotta know. And, now I gotta know. So he hung where in the swim was he in the pack?
Oh, towards the front of the pack.
Really?
So there was the one guy who was in a league of his own. But yeah, Rich, he did the 1,200 meter swim in 17 minutes and 30 seconds, which is like pretty damn fast.
Yeah.
And then the bike, again, it wasn't a street bike and it wasn't a street run. So I don't think you can do apples to apples. It was different than anything I've ever seen. It was like a super technical bike course up and down.
But he's a big mountain biker,
dude.
Right? He loves mountain biking.
Yeah. So anyways, you see that kind of stuff and you're like, all right, well, it's really impressive. And the amount of volume that he and the team still put in.
What were the distances on it?
It was 1,200 swim, 15-mile bike, and 5-mile run.
That's rough with a 15-mile mountain bike.
It was. And the run. So it was the swim was in a quarry,
right? And
the run kind of like took you out and about, and it was like just regular trails. But the last 800 went directly up for 400, and I'm talking like steep. And then you kind of came down for the end. But so it wasn't just a jog and it wasn't just a run. It was pretty legit.
How did you do?
I did well, man. I did better than I thought I was going to do. Yeah. And let's see, it's the first time that I was at like the upper. I turned 39 this year. So it was the time that I was like at the upper age limit of a master's division. So that was kind of depressing. But I did well, man. My swim was like 24 and I made most of my money on the bike. I was like, I was struggling on the run.
I'm amazed that Rich did that well in the swim.
He's a boss in the swim, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, like if you look at like traditionally at the games, the whole Mayhem team, they practice swimming a lot and they're good at it.
Okay. They practice in that lake?
Yeah.
Is that really where they practice?
The one that you could have come and visited. I don't know which one you're talking about. There's a lake nearby though, in a place called Crossville that we go to all the time.
Okay. And do a lot of open water swims?
Yep. All the time.
That's crazy. It seems like such a fun place. And I like all the guys there. So next time my in-law, it's not too far away. I will try to make it. I would love to.
All right. I'm holding you to it, man.
Great finally having you on the show. Armin would be so upset that he's not on the show now when you finally come on. Back when he was the bad boy of CrossFit. Have you ever talked to Armin?
Yeah, but we debrief once or twice.
Armin has like everybody on speed dial to get all his info.
He's man. I gotta tell you, like everybody who's kind of jumped into that space, everybody seems like they're hustling quite a bit. So, in the new world order of things, I've got respect for all those guys who are making it happen.
All right. Well, I've got respect for you and what you've done there and what you've done in the past. I appreciate you being on the show. And where can they find you? You've got a huge Instagram following.
Yeah, man. I don't know how I came up with the name, but I'll go by @Rory McKernan on social. Yeah. It's genius.
Yeah. So check it out.
The next time we'll get into it, but I've lost my taste for social media, but I keep up with it. I keep up with it as much as I can.
I'm trying to get off and just let somebody do it all for me, and then I don't do it at all, and I don't look at it. And then Rogan just had on some guy, or he posted this book. This guy, I think he had him on the show, all about the addiction to phones and screens and how bad it is and how we're all, addicted. And Kenny Kane wrote a really good article on it about like health, and if you run a gym, your job is to take care of people's health. And one of the things that's gotten away from people is like this addiction to all this stuff. And so Kenny's like, I can't be a part of that. So I'm not going to participate in social media. And I would really like to get to that point myself because I have a horrible addiction.
It's hard, right? When it's part of like promotion and,
Yep.
and your job and what you do. And it's a great way to advertise, but at the same time, you do get caught up in all the bullshit. So actually Rich deleted Instagram from his phone, I think 2 months ago.
Nobody.
And I'm like,
it makes no one happy.
yep. I'm so jealous. I'm like, oh dude.
Yep. I know people that have done it. I've tried to do it. I tried 1 month without it. Didn't make it. 1 month.
All right. Well, we'll be accountability partners. So I'll check in with you next time.
All right. Well, Roy, thanks for doing the show, and thanks for listening to the WODcast Podcast. You know where to go. Rate, review, comment on iTunes, and do all that stuff. All right. Goodbye.